Jets NFL Draft Stock Watch 0 hours 0 minutes and 49 seconds. SNY draft analyst Tony Pauline discusses a couple of New York Jets draft targets who saw their stock shift at the 2019 NFL Combine. SNY's draft analyst Tony Pauline breaks down which player on the Jets' radar saw his stock rise and which one saw his stock fall following the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis this weekend. Ohio State defensive lineman Nick Bosa goes through workout drills during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. The Jets have the number 3 pick in the draft, but one player they could target is considered co-favorites to go no. One Ohio State pass rusher Nick Bosa is tied with Oklahoma quarterback Kyler Murray with the best odds, 110, to go first overall to the Arizona Cardinals, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. The Jets are expected to be all in on pass rushers this offseason, but one potential target appears to be off the board. The Houston Texans placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on OLB Jadeveon Clowney on Monday, the team announced. Clowney, 26, has until July 15 to reach terms on a long-term deal with Houston or play on a one-year contract worth $15.43 million guaranteed. Mississippi wide receiver DK Metcalf runs the 40-yard dash during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. Bent the JetsBlog.com. Follow on Twitter. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 wide receiver class. Jets needs wide receivers, having signed Quincy Enunwa to an extension and Robbie Anderson to a restricted free agency tender. The Jets should have their 2 leading receivers from last year back in the fold. However, they don't currently have much beyond those 2. Sharon Peake is still under contract and Andre Roberts could be resigned, but most of their contributions in 2018 were on special teams. VACC talks Jets. 0 hours 1 minute and 10 seconds. SNY's Ralph Bacchiano shares some insights on who the Jets may be targeting in the NFL draft to improve their pass rush. Indianapolis, Mike Maccagnan and Adam Gase set the stage for an aggressive offseason for the Jets when they met the media at the NFL Scouting Combine last week, in part because they have no choice. They have a depleted roster, tons of cap room, a high draft pick, and a willingness to trade. So how will they reshape their roster? They didn't exactly lay out a blueprint. But from their press conferences and plenty of info from NFL sources, here are 10 things we learned about the Jets' plans while they were at the Combine. 1. The Jets aren't trading for Antonio Brown. Bosa talks. NFL Draft. 0 hours 1 minute and 22 seconds. Defensive end Nick Bosa discusses the NFL Draft, where he might fit in with the Jets and his pass rushing technique. Defensive end Nick Bosa discusses the NFL Draft, where he might fit in with the Jets, and his pass rushing technique. January 22, 2019, Mobile, Alabama, USA. South defensive end Montez Sweat of Mississippi State, 9, battles with South offensive tackle Titus Howard of Alabama State, 58, knocking off his helmet during the South Squad 2019 Senior Bowl practice at Ladd-Peebles Stadium. Mandatory credit, John David Mercer. USA Today Sports. John David Mercer, so fast he hardly broke a sweat. One of the more eye-popping numbers from this weekend's NFL Draft Combine in Indianapolis was the 4.41 mark former Mississippi State Montez Sweat posted in the 40-yard dash Sunday. It's even more impressive when considering Sweat is a defensive lineman who stands at 6'6" and weighs 260 pounds. It's also the new fastest time on record from a defensive lineman, besting Jadeveon Clowney's time of 4.53 in 2014. November 11, 2018, Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver J.J. Nelson, 14, is tackled by Kansas City Chiefs linebacker D. Ford, 55, in the second half at Arrowhead Stadium. Mandatory credit, Jay Biggerstaff. USA Today Sports. Jay Biggerstaff The Chiefs will place the franchise tag on linebacker Dee Ford and plan to have him for the 2019 season, but according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the team will listen to trade offers as they transition to a 4-3 defense. Ford, who turns 28 this month, was tied for 8th in the NFL last season with 13 sacks, a career high. Kansas City maintains flexibility regarding what to do with Ford by tagging him, rather than letting him walk into free agency for nothing. The Jets are keeping a 3-4 defense under new defensive coordinator Greg Williams and will at least have to consider trading for Ford as they desperately need to add a pass rusher. February 23, 2019, Norman, Oklahoma, USA. Oklahoma Sooners former player Kyler Murray is recognized during a timeout in the game Texas Longhorns at Lloyd Noble Center. Mandatory credit, Rob Ferguson, USA Today Sports. Rob Ferguson, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Indianapolis. It would be a great thing for the Jets if there's even the hint of a run on quarterbacks early in the NFL draft, because it would drive up the market for anyone looking to trade for the 3rd overall pick. But you know what might be even better for the Jets? If Oklahoma Kyler Murray goes no. One that could be a dream scenario for the Jets, who might be tempted to sit right where they are. Because if that happens, and multiple NFL people told SNY on Friday that they are convinced the Arizona Cardinals want to draft Murray no. 1. It means Ohio State's Nick Bosa or Kentucky's Josh Allen would fall right into their laps. DK Metcalf may have just sprinted onto the Jets' radar. The Ole Miss wide receiver impressed at the NFL Scouting Combine on Saturday with his 40-yard dash, running a 4.33. What made the time even more impressive, though, is that Metcalf is 6'4" and 230 pounds, rare speed for someone that size. The Jets need wide receiver weapons to surround quarterback Sam Darnold, and whoever is running the team's Twitter account seems to want Metcalf, tweeting out a video of his 40. February 27, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. New York Jets head coach Adam Gase speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at Indianapolis Convention Center. Mandatory credit, Trevor Rishkovsky, USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Indianapolis. The conclusion from the Jets last year seemed inescapable. They had found their franchise quarterback, but they really needed to get him some help. That's why this offseason has seemed to be about one thing: finding weapons for Sam Darnold to use. Finding playmakers who can make a difference in the offense. That seemed to be a priority for the Jets in both free agency and the draft. But new coach Adam Gase didn't sound like it was really a priority at all. August 12, 2017, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Jets general manager Mike Maccagnan reacts on the field before a preseason game against the Tennessee Titans at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Indianapolis. Both New York teams made it clear this week that rebuilding their offensive lines is a priority. They each need at least 2 new starters, otherwise their offenses might not be able to run. To get that help, though, they'll either have to look to an underwhelming free agent market or dig deep into the NFL draft. Because even though both teams have top 10 picks in the draft this April, the kind of help they're looking for likely won't be there. A top 10 offensive lineman? I don't know about that, said one AFC scout. If you're looking for the next Quentin Nelson, drafted 6th overall by the Colts last year, he's not there. There are good players in this draft, but not that high. December 2, 2018, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown, 84, gestures at the line of scrimmage against the Los Angeles Chargers during the 4th quarter at Heinz Field. The Chargers won 33-30. Mandatory credit, Charles Leclerc, USA Today Sports. Charles Leclerc, disgruntled wide receiver Antonio Brown and the Steelers have agreed it is time to part ways, and Pittsburgh will look to deal the 6-time Pro Bowler this offseason. Here are the latest reports and updates on Brown. March 1, 11:42 p.m., Oakland, Washington and Tennessee are the three teams that have shown the most interest in trading for Brown, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. One-on-one with Santonio Holmes, 0 hours 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Former New York Jets wide receiver Santonio Holmes shares why he thinks the Jets should target Antonio Brown to help out Sam Darnold. Count Santonio Holmes among those who believe the Jets should bring in Antonio Brown. With the Steelers looking to trade their disgruntled star receiver and the Jets in need of a bona fide no. One wideout, Holmes thinks Brown would fit well with Gang Green. Business is boomin', Holmes told SNY's Gene Coakley. You want a great receiver that's gonna give you 15 touchdowns, 1,000 yards every season, he's the guy. Regardless of what people are saying about his attitude and his demeanor, as a wide receiver, you can't do anything without touching the football. September 30, 2018, Jacksonville, Florida, USA, New York. Jets quarterback Sam Darnold, 14, throws a pass under pressure from Jacksonville Jaguars defensive end Dante Fowler, 56, and linebacker Telvin Smith, 50, during the second half at TIAA Bank Field. Mandatory credit, Reinhold Mate. USA Today Sports. Reinhold Mate. One thing is clear, the Jets must exit this offseason with a bona fide pass rusher to anchor the defensive line heading into 2019. Gang Green can address the need either through the draft in April or through free agency. And with the NFL Combine in full swing in Indianapolis, players are set to officially hit the open market on March 13 at 4 p.m. Teams can begin talking to soon-to-be free agents 2 days prior. According to ESPN's Rich Cimini, the Jets are not being shy in their interest for a player who can hound the quarterback. The team is apparently centering its search around pass rushers Ezekiel Ansah, Dante Fowler and Preston Smith. December 1, 2018, Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Alabama Crimson Tide defensive lineman Quinnen Williams, 92, reacts after a sack against the Georgia Bulldogs during the first quarter in the SEC championship game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Mandatory credit, Jason Getz. USA Today Sports. Jason Getz. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 interior defensive lineman class. Jets needs interior defensive linemen. Over the past few years, the Jets have gone from being stacked with defensive line talent to a situation where they may now be looking to upgrade again. 2016 Pro Bowler Leonard Williams will play the 2019 season on his fifth-year option, but it remains to be seen if Steve McClendon and Henry Anderson will be resigned, with the Jets already having decided not to pick up Mike Pennell's option. Anderson could be a priority after he was tied for the team lead with 7 sacks last season. Nick Mangold. One-on-one, 0 hours 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Former New York Jets lineman Nick Mangold shares why he was invited to the 2019 NFL Combine as a mentor to the upcoming rookie class. It's been a few years since former Jets center Nick Mangold played his final NFL game, but he's keeping himself involved. Mangold is in Indianapolis to help mentor draft prospects at the NFL Combine as part of the NFL Legends community. The 7-time Pro Bowler is giving advice to offensive linemen. "I'm here as a resource," Mangold told SNY's Gene Coakley. "I'm not affiliated with the league. I'm not affiliated with any team, so if guys have questions that they don't want to ask that they might think is stupid or can cause problems, they ask me. So it's been a good experience." February 28, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Stanford running back Bryce Love, RB14, speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at Indianapolis Convention Center. Mandatory credit, Trevor Rishkovsky. USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Indianapolis. The workouts at the NFL Scouting Combine are a huge deal, but the interviews with prospects are just as important. Teams are allowed to meet with 60 prospects here for 15-minute formal interviews. They also conduct countless informal interviews, and more than a few chance meetings and short chats, too. Sometimes, those interviews and meetings are a clue as to who the teams are looking at in the upcoming NFL draft. Sometimes they're nothing more than a smokescreen. Regardless, here's a look at some of the prospects the Jets have met with in some capacity so far at the Combine, based on interviews with those prospects, information from NFL sources, and from a few published reports. October 22, 2017, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell, 26, greets wide receiver Antonio Brown, 84, after a first-quarter touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals at Heinz Field. Mandatory credit, Philip G. Pavley, USA Today Sports. Philip G. Pavley, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive, Indianapolis. There are two prominent Pittsburgh Steelers who are both very available, and who will dominate the conversation in the NFL this offseason. 2 years ago, the dynamic duo combined for 3,479 yards and 20 touchdowns. The Jets, who desperately need impact offensive players, could really use both RB Le'Veon Bell and WR Antonio Brown. Realistically, though, they only have a shot at one. NFL Combine story, Santana Moss 0 hours 0 minutes and 52 seconds. Former New York Jets special teams coach Mike Westhoff shares a story about Santana Moss's explosive and impressive 2001 NFL Combine. 18 years ago, Mike Westhoff was in his first year as the Jets special teams coach, having joined new head coach Herm Edwards' staff after a 15-year run with the Dolphins. The new regime inherited some talented players, but they knew they needed a speedy playmaker. And while scouting players at the Combine, Santana Moss jumped off the charts, according to Westhoff. December 23, 2018, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Jets wide receiver Robbie Anderson, 11, scores a touchdown during the first half against the Green Bay Packers at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Vincent Carcietta, USA Today Sports. Vincent Carcietta. The Jets have issued a second-round tender to WR Robbie Anderson worth $3.1 million, SNY's Ralph Bacchiano confirmed on Thursday. This tender doesn't necessarily mean Anderson is locked in with the Jets for the 2019 season. Teams that are interested in Anderson could issue an offer sheet that the Jets would have the chance to match. If the Jets don't match it, they would receive draft compensation. Speaking back in November, Anderson didn't want to be tendered by the Jets, as he wants to be a part of their long-term plans. August 12, 2017, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Jets general manager Mike Maccagnan reacts on the field before a preseason game against the Tennessee Titans at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive. Indianapolis. A year ago, Jets GM Mike Maccagnan knew he had to move up in the draft from No. 6 to number 3 to get in position to draft a franchise quarterback. Now, with quarterback Sam Darnold on board and the No. 3 pick once again in his pocket, he could be in the market to move down. And yes, he would even be willing to trade down to No. 6 in an exchange of picks with the Giants. If he gets an offer he can't refuse. One-on-one with Adam Gase. 0 hours 2 minutes and 40 seconds. New York Jets head coach explains what he's been doing leading up to the Combine and trying to building around quarterback Sam Darnold. This week at the NFL Combine, Jets new head coach Adam Gase joins GM Mike Maccagnan and the rest of the Jets officials that have traveled to Indianapolis to see the best in college football give it their all to raise their draft stock. Gase has been through a whirlwind, as he put it, in the transition from Miami to New York. He has checked off a big part of his itinerary in locking down his coaching staff. But, with free agency coming up along with evaluating the prospects, there's still lots of work to do. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind just because we're trying to get a lot done in a short amount of time, Gase told SNY's Gene Coakley in an exclusive one-on-one interview. I think it's been good. We finally got the coaching staff together and going through the steps we need to go through, evaluating our roster and really trying to figure out where we're going to go from here. Jets GM on plans for cap space. 0 hours 1 minute and 4 seconds. New York Jets GM Mike Maccagnan discusses his team's major cap space and his plans to be aggressive in free agency this offseason. When the new league year begins on March 13th and free agency officially opens up, the Jets are supposed to be one of the most aggressive teams after some of the top names on the market. And their GM, Mike Maccagnan, confirmed that at the NFL Combine on Wednesday. Maccagnan and his franchise have everything to work with this offseason to lure free agents. Loads of cap space, estimated at about $102 million by OverTheCap.com, a fresh coaching staff that includes head coach Adam Gase and defensive coordinator Greg Williams leading the way, and a young core that touts players like Sam Darnold and Jamal Adams. The Jets haven't been to the playoffs in 3 straight seasons, but that streak could end next season if the Jets land the players they desire on the market. Maccagnan said a plan is in place. Gene Coakley tries bench press. 0 hours 1 minute and 15 seconds while at the 2019 NFL Combine. SNY's Gene Coakley tries her luck at the bench press that is also used by the prospects at the Combine. The NFL Combine is upon us, and some of the best names from college football this season will be giving it their all during the on-field and off-field workouts in Indianapolis this week. One of the traditional workouts off the field is the bench press, which is set to test each prospect's strength. They will have 1 minute to count as many reps of 225 pounds. So SNY's Gene Coakley decided to get under the bar herself to see how many reps she could pump out. Adam Gase talks at NFL Combine. 0 hours 1 minute and 5 seconds. New York Jets head coach Adam Gase talks about the new coaching staff looking to balance their roster out with FA and the upcoming draft. Adam Gase addressed the media for the first time on Wednesday at the NFL Scouting Combine since he was introduced as the Jets' new head coach in January. Gase has now had some time to evaluate the players he is inheriting and was able to expand on his feelings on how he will utilize them and the potential he sees. Here are the takeaways from his latest press conference, February 27, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. New York Jets head coach Adam Gase speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at Indianapolis Convention Center. Mandatory credit, Trevor Rishkovsky. USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky, Jets head coach Adam Gase confirmed Wednesday at the NFL Combine that the team will indeed be sticking with a 3-4 defense under new defensive coordinator Greg Williams, who has often run a 4-3 defense. That's the beauty part about hiring a guy that's been around for a long time, Gase said. He's done multiple things over his career. He's been both in the 3-4 and 4-3. The majority of snaps are nickel defense anyways. But sticking with our base being a 3-4 defense, and the reason behind that of trying to keep as many of the players that are currently here that understand that style of defense, is key for us to where now we're not completely starting over. We can keep a lot of the guys we already have. October 28, 2017, Jacksonville, Florida, USA. Georgia Bulldogs defensive tackle Trenton Thompson, 78, rushes as Florida Gators offensive lineman Jawan Taylor, 65, blocks during the first half at Everbank Field. Mandatory credit, Kim Clement. USA Today Sports. Kim Clement, TheJetsBlog.com. Follow on Twitter. Over the next month or so, we're going to be reviewing some of the top draft prospects at each position to assess some potential candidates that the Jets will show interest in. We continue today with a look at the 2019 offensive tackle class. Jets needs offensive tackles. While the prevailing wisdom is that the Jets desperately need to upgrade on the offensive line, they don't have an urgent need to bring aboard a starter for 2019. August 26, 2017, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Jets acting CEO Christopher Wold Johnson left talks to general manager Mike Maccagnan before a preseason game against the New York Giants at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brad Penner. USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Indianapolis. The Adam Gase era began 6 weeks ago when the new Jets coach took his seat in front of the media and said, well, mostly nothing. he barely gave a hint about his thoughts in the franchise or his plans for the future. On Wednesday, that could change. Both Gase and Jets GM Mike Maccagnan are expected to meet the media at the NFL Scouting Combine and will be quizzed a little more specifically about their plans for the franchise's future. They're likely to give more hints than actual direct answers. But here's a preview anyway of some of the key questions they're likely to be asked, and what they are expected to say. September 20, 2018, Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Cleveland Browns quarterback Tyrod Taylor, 5 runs away from New York Jets defensive end Henry Anderson, 96, during the first half of a game at First Energy Stadium. Mandatory credit, David Dermer. USA Today Sports, David Dermer. In another sign that the Jets are planning to keep a 3-4 defense, the team is interested in bringing back free agent defensive lineman Henry Anderson, according to the Daily News' Manish Mehta. The report says the Jets and Anderson's camp could meet this week during the Combine. According to SNY's Ralph Vacchiano, there had been no talks as of a couple of days ago. Anderson, who turns 28 in August, tied for the team lead with 7 sacks last season despite playing less than 60% of the team's snaps.